Welcome to the Appetite for Discussion show with your host, Brandon Crouch. Tonight's show is sponsored by Hunka Junk Hauling.
Thanks, Julius. Everyone, you ever been interested in learning about cigars, smoking cigars? I know I have, and I know zero about it. So tonight's guest, my friend Duncan, with his new shop coming soon here to the Statesville area, is going to walk yours truly through how to smoke a cigar the proper way. Duncan?
How you doing? How are you,
Good,
man?
It's an honor.
So let's begin with this one. The easiest way to do this. Ready?
I'm ready.
It's my last name, Echevarria. Come on, I gotta get you. Come on, I gotta get.
Echevarria.
See, just like it sounds, man.
My R's have a speed bump. They don't roll.
It's like the whole Ricky Ricardo thing. You know, back in my country, my people love me because of my accent.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't do that. Well, you want to know about cigars?
I do, yes.
Okay, that's fantastic. I think I can show you a couple of things.
Okay, perfect.
Let's see what happens. I even brought a guest with me just in case I don't do it the right way. Mom's going to be off to my left, and I'm going to tell you who this is. This is my mom. This is Miss Doña NOlia Cigars. But those who know her and love her call her Doña NOlia. Donnie, este es Brandon.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
She said, hi. That's it. That's it. That's her power. That's her power strength right there.
That's enough.
So, what have you ever smoked? That's actually a key question to anyone. You know, when they walk into a shop, and I meet them for the first time, I say, hey man, what have you ever smoked? What have you liked?
So that's pretty simple. I tried smoking cigars. You know, I tried to learn different things about cigars or maybe bourbons or scotches. So I used to go to the JR store that was here in Statesville, okay?
Great
so
place.
I'm a cheap guy, and I don't know what I like, so I would go and buy a couple, maybe a $2, maybe a $4, and then I'd maybe buy an $8 one time, and I would try to smoke them. But I didn't, I couldn't ever find something that I liked, or maybe the next morning, maybe I didn't feel like...
it still kind of resonated with you.
Resonating is not the word I would use.
Something on your palate, maybe.
Yeah, something.
Kind of like... You know, yeah,
exactly.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
So I just scrapped it. You know, I was like, okay, I've given this the old college try, but it's, you know, I see people smoking cigars. My wife and I went to New Orleans a few years ago. We went to a cigar lounge. You know, as newbies, we were like, yeah, we're going to do it. So we smoked these little tiny little vanilla cigars, right?
Okay.
But they were good. You know, she enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. You know, so, but I was thinking, when I had the concept of the show, one of the things that I wanted to do was have someone on who knew about cigars. And then I saw your post pop up on my Facebook feed, and I was like, boom, perfect.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for what you just told me as far as like what your experiences are. That's actually one of the key questions I ask everybody. I've been in the industry going on a little bit over 20 years now. I love everything about it. The camaraderie, the fraternity, the brotherhood and sisterhood, which is out there for the ladies. And one of the things that I really enjoy the most is that it's a way that we can all kind of come together and enjoy something that's beautiful, peaceful, chill factor, nice. But I always wanted to find out what is it that people really want when they look at cigars. So I started asking questions. Question one, which is what I asked you, is, you know, what have you smoked in the past? That gives me an indication of maybe how I can best help you in finding that nice cigar for you. Question number two actually revolves around a lot about the palate. Okay. I got a great cigar here for you. I'm going to get into it in just one little minute. And some of the things that you said to already, I'm excited because they tie into exactly what I'm about to present you with. So the palate. You mentioned you enjoy a good bourbon and maybe a good whiskey every now and then.
You know, I started with Scotch. That's the one so I do. I enjoy a good Scotch. I don't know what brand I like yet because I'm still experiencing. No problem. But between the two, a Scotch and a bourbon, I lean towards the Scotch. Although I'm trying to broaden my horizon and palate towards the bourbons.
I'm a Scotch man myself. I do enjoy what I call the Glens. Glenlivets, Glenmorangies, Glenfiddicks. Any of the Glens, in my opinion, are really great. Try to stay a little bit on the 12-year older and better if I can. this more enjoyment factor. There's more richness, more oakiness, more peatiness to
Yeah.
the liquors themselves, which they pair beautifully with that. I do a little bit of bourbons. I'm a go-to guy for Woodford Reserve. I enjoy it. Basil Hayden, Booker's. Big fan right now of Buffalo Trace as well. So there's some really great ones out there that are very enjoyable. So palate is a key question, and the reason I ask also about what you enjoy drinking, because cigars are really also about what can marry properly, what can pair nicely with a nice drink, if you will. So this cigar that I got for you, you said, Duncan, don't blow me away with anything that's too strong, too powerful.
Right.
And I really wasn't looking to, say, hey, here you go, smoke this, and maybe we would have a kind of like an interesting, moment when you're possessed and your head starts spinning. No, we don't want that. So. This is done by a great friend of mine. His name is Dr. Gaby Kafie of Kafie 1901 Cigars. Just an amazing individual, fantastic guy in the industry, so all about the enjoyment of fine cigars, but not breaking the budget. So you said you had gone to JR's because, you're a little budget conscious.
Yeah, sure.
Nothing wrong with that. One of the things that I tell a lot of folks is simply this: you don't have to smoke expensive to smoke good. You really don't. Now, based on the two things you've told me, you said you smoked a few things that were a little bit on the less expensive side, maybe also a sweet cigar, which is good. You enjoy a little bit of scotch. Well, this cigar is what I call a natural. Natural basically is one of the names attributed to the color of the wrapper. So the wrapper is the outside part of that cigar. The cigar actually is composed of three simplified parts. I'm going to give you just a quick class on it. So the outside is called the wrapper. The immediate layers underneath that are called the binder. And then the actual core of the cigar is called the filler. A lot of times we work it backwards, say filler, binder, wrapper.
Right.
That tells us the story also about where the tobacco of that cigar originates from. Goes to maybe what the blend is all about, or maybe a recipe, if you will, would be the best analogy for that. For example, this cigar, I know for a fact, has a little bit of Honduran tobacco, and it has a little bit of Nicaraguan tobacco, and it has a little bit of Ecuadorian tobacco. So I'm going to tell you where all of those three are in that cigar. The filler, beautiful, which I love it, has nice Honduran tobacco. Rich, beautiful. It's very earthy. It's got some wonderful notes that, as you experience that cigar, you can kind of pick up definitely that fresh, almost earthiness to it. You're gonna get a little bit of that pepper, a little bit of that spice, as we call it. That's gonna come from the Nicaraguan binder, which is really nice. Due to the heavy pH balance in the soils of Nicaragua and Hondurans, we get what we call that pepperiness, that little bite on the palate. And a lot of us, we look for that. It lets us know that we're smoking a really nice, good, engaging cigar. The Ecuadorian is the wrapper. It's a smooth, easy wrapper. It helps to tone down a lot of what's going on the inside, and it creates more of a beautiful blend, transitional-wise, as you're smoking. So next thing is we got to get you cut.
Yes.
Not you, the cigar.
Of course, yes.
That's just a whole different issue, man.
Nah,
we can't have that.
I'm a bleeder.
So, God, man, I cut and I have to run immediately. So, this is my favorite cutter. Again, I feel as if I'm just plugging everybody left and right. That's a Kafie 1901 cigars. This, there you go, man. I'm telling you, that's like deadly right
That's
there.
like the switchblade of
I'm
cutters.
telling you, but it's fantastic. This thing is a Colibri Deep V cut. And if I may,
Yes,
I'm going to show you
absolutely.
real quick. Simply take the cap right there, and all you do is insert it into the actual little crevice right there and let the cutter do its magic. Perfect, nice, simple cut. Very, very easy. You're not going to go wrong with that at all.
So it's interesting. I was trying to do a little bit of research so I didn't look like a complete idiot while you were here. And I didn't even realize until preparing for our show that there is something called a V-cut.
Oh, absolutely. One of the neat things about the V-cut, which I really enjoy is it gives you a little bit more control. For example, if you are not getting enough airflow as you're pulling, which that could happen, sometimes the construction on a cigar might be a little too tight, which is okay. It's predominantly a hand-rolled boutique artisanal crafted smoking wonderful stick right there. So you may get sometimes that, maybe they rolled it too tight, maybe they rolled it too loose. So what happens is you can turn it vertical,
Okay.
pinch down on it, and it opens it up a little bit so you get a little bit more airway.
Ventilation.
Correct.
Okay.
What we call a good draw.
Gotcha.
If it's just a little too loose, somebody didn't quite, bunch it correctly, didn't roll it right, then you may also want to just turn it horizontally and bite down on it, and it kind of closes the airway a little bit.
I see.
So it gives you more control. You can also do something very similar with a straight cutter or a guillotine or an S-cut.
Yeah.
What you do is basically create a small little open in the actual cutter and press the cigar, as opposed to putting it all the way through and kind of chopping down.
Right.
I'm not a big fan of chopping down. I just want to, create like a little opening in the cutter and press and just take a little nip off. If we get good airflow, fantastic. If not, then since you took a little one, you can take just a little bit bigger cut, and it does allow for more. It's always good to take a little bit, not a lot. So that one is a smooth, easy cigar. You're definitely going to enjoy it. I have a darker cigar, as you can tell here. This is a Maduro. So Maduro, a lot of times, I get folks coming into shops and say, hey man, I'm looking for a full-bodied Maduro. And they don't know exactly what they're asking for. I know they want something that's full-bodied and sometimes full strength, but in Spanish, Maduro, all that it really means is ripe and aged. So it's the actual aging of the tobacco that brings out more of the natural tannins or the sugars that can be found within the tobacco leaf. So the darker the leaf gets, the more rich, the almost sweeter it can get towards the last third of the cigar. And it's a very enjoyable one for a new guy. I rarely ever recommend a Maduro because it might just be a little too much, and it might leave that sensation on your palate. Hey man, I'm still smoking the cigar, and it's 8 hours ago. So I don't
That's
ever
exactly
want
right.
that. Yeah, and to me, it's about enjoyment.
Right.
Cigars are all about enjoyment. So my mom actually wants to know if you want to smoke one. Okay,
sure?
so
You can definitely jump in, man.
This is a fully interactive show from
This
what
is a
I've been
full
told.
interactive show. Absolutely.
So
There's
I'm
no
also-
rules.
I'll
That's
leave
the
that
one
to
rule.
professionals.
So I'm also going to cut this one with a deep V cut, which is my favorite cutter.
Okay.
And I love my Calibri. This thing has been beaten up, taken through the mud. I mean, it is a warrior's cutter if I've ever seen one. A good friend of mine, ex-Marine Force, well, he's a Marine is never ex. Marine Force recon guy, Bob the Cigar guy out of Greenville, swears on these, and he got me on them, so I'm a dieharder on that. So this one is done. This is called a Campechano Maduro. It's done by Felix Mesa. It is an all Nicaraguan. There's something called a puro, and then there is a blended cigar. That's a blended cigar because it comes from different countries of origins. This actually is a puro, which means every part of it comes from only one country. Different regions in the country, but one country.
Okay.
And there's actually something very unique about that terminology also. For example, we've all heard the myth and the legends of Cuban cigars are the best in the world.
Right.
And they're just, they're without equal. I'm of a mind to say to everybody, they're among the best. They are not necessarily the best. Quality is beautiful. Cigars are fantastic. But there's a lot of beautiful cigars that are being made in the Dominican Republic, in Honduras, and Nicaragua. So there's a lot of good competition out for the Cubans. But the puro side of it comes because in Cuba, there is nothing that is brought in except Cuban tobacco. So every part of that cigar is always 100% from the island. The filler, the binder, the wrappers, it's all 100% grown there, fermented, aged, rolled. I mean, the whole shebang is done there. So that's exciting. So when I come across a puro, I'm always really like, hey man, I really want to try this one and see how that stands up. On another interesting note, based upon what you said earlier, you said something a little bit on the lower end. Well, that cigar actually only puts you about $4.80 out of pocket.
Okay.
Which is not bad. This one is $3.50 out of pocket. But the neat thing about that is these are what we call long filler cigars. Okay, so that means that nothing left over was used. A lot of times we hear also the terminology, it's short filler, or in Spanish we call that picadura, which means the cuttings, the leftovers.
Yes.
So I'm always fearful. I don't know where those cuttings and leftovers came from. Maybe somebody was sweeping the floor and said, hey, this is good stuff. Let's toss it in there, see what happens, So when they tell me long filler, I know that maybe in the process of classification, it wasn't the top grade leaf, it wasn't the
Right.
best, but you know what? It's still good. And let's go ahead and put it in a nice cigar for people who just maybe don't want to spend a lot of money but still enjoy a good cigar. So this is 350 ish. That's about 480.
Perfect.
Next thing we got to do is light the sucker.
Okay.
We got to do this.
So that was one question I had about the lighting. Some people swear by lighting with a match. I've heard some people say, no, you use a lighter. Is there a right or a wrong?
For the camera and for you, it's a big lighter. $1.75 at your local gas jockey location, right?
We are not sponsored, by the way.
We're not sponsored, so just yes, I agree. But there's a funny story, real quick, and I'm gonna make it as abridged as possible. About 9 years ago, my father passed away 10 years ago. So soon thereafter, I was visiting with a great friend and someone that I admire deeply in this industry. He is iconically one of the greatest masters of this industry. His name is Don Jose Pepin Garcia. Pepin Garcia, to those who love him. And Pepin came from Cuba, where he left his job as quality control director for Habanos International, the largest conglomerate in the entire island that creates, manufactures, exports, sells cigars to the rest of the world. So this guy was quality control. He was the man. He was the legend there. So when he left, he had to rebuild that all over again. And he did it in Miami. Years later, I sat with him. Funny enough, my father knew him when Pepin was a younger man working in the farms. And there's more to that than that. But it's funny because I sat with him and we're grabbing cigars, and I pull out this very fancy, DuPont lighter, which is very high end. I'm telling you, it has a ping and it's beautiful. It was just a great experience. He looks at me and starts laughing, and he said, "When did you ever see your old man use one of those to light a cigar?" I said, "Well, my dad would light a cigar basically on the stovetop if it was there. I mean, he didn't care." He whips out of his pocket a big lighter and proceeds to light what would be in the next few years the #1 cigar in the world. In 2014, 2015, that cigar that he lit some years before was being lit by a Bic. And he said to me, "Don't forget who we are. Don't forget where we come from. Don't forget where we walked." And I said, "You're right." So I collect lighters. I'm an avid lighter collector. Anything fancy schmancy, I collect them.
Right.
I think they're kind of cool. But in my car, I kid you not, I usually got about 38 of these suckers laying around my car somewhere.
Those 89-cent specials.
Oh,
but they do the job.
They do. But I'm going to actually show you how, for example, at a nice cigar lounge, a cigar establishment, you're going to see everybody doing it. There's also a couple of questions which are cardinal questions. What's the best cigar? Well, that's easy. It's the one that you're going to smoke. What's the best way to light it? However you want. What's the best way to enjoy it? In the moment that you share it with the people that you love. That's it. That's what cigar smoking is all about. Those are the 3 answers to every question that I've ever given to anybody. Say, "Hey man, what's the best cigar?" Well, the one that I'm enjoying, man. How do you do it? The way I'm doing it right now. So we're going to go ahead and toast the foot. I'm going to show you how I'm doing mine real quick. There you go. Toasting of the foot basically gets it ready so that you can, not have to huff and puff too much. It also gives the cigar a nice little toasty preamble to, get the flavors started up real quick.
So you're actually not even puffing on that. You're getting, you're lighting it. You're making it warm.
Correct. It's almost like when you open a nice bottle of wine, you don't want to just pour a glass and start chugging. You want to kind of let it breathe a little bit, let it do its own magical thing, right?
Right.
So then I just got a little, little something going right there. You got a little cherry started.
Yeah.
Then you go in.
See, that would have been the first rookie mistake that I would have made. I would have started doing what you're doing right from the bat.
And just a few puffs and you're there. Now, that being said, again, it's not rookie. Brandon, I'm telling you, the best way to do it is how you feel comfortable doing. Don't let anyone ever, as a consultant and someone who's been doing this for many, many years, I've seen great guys completely be disheartened and just have a different idea when they're chastised or made fun of because, hey man, I didn't know. And they start like they jam the fire right up to. No, it's okay. You know how you're doing it is fine because that's what makes you happy. If you will, if you're fine
Sure.
with it, that's it. What I normally tell everybody is, if you have doubts, go talk to the tobacconist. Say, hey man, listen, I'm new at this. What do you recommend?
Yeah.
Tell me how you would do it. And a lot of guys will have different ways, different formats. Some guys use a punch. Some guys take a little knife. They cut a piece off of it. You know, I do it old school, sometimes Cuban way. I take a small bite. That gives me a preamble. It gives me a little bit of a taste of like, wow, that's some good quality tobacco in there. I like that. I'm
Right.
excited now. I've seen guys literally lick the cigar up and down. They're about to have a love affair with that thing. I said, hey, easy, fellas. You know, it's just,
You're supposed to smoke that.
Get a room or something. I've seen all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to give this to you.
Okay.
Crack down on where the little bump is right there.
Little button here.
Yeah. And then just give it a nice little toast for a little bit. Kind of, you want it to just get it primed almost.
Right.
You know, just get it going a little bit. And then when you feel comfortable, you go on and turn the torch on again and get a few puffs in. Guess what? You're smoking a cigar, bro. That happened.
Just like that.
That just happened right now. This instant. How hard was that?
Not very.
And one
It's
of the
very simple.
And one of the things that I want you to also, when you start smoking the cigar is always like in threes. It's almost like the Trinity. I said it's got, you know, the filler, the binder, the wrapper. Well, there's 3 parts also as you're going through the cigar. So we're on the first third.
The first third.
Correct.
Okay.
Second third is more the middle of the body, of course, and the final third. So a good cigar will have some transitions. You know, you want it to at least say, hey, I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you how the story goes. And then I'm going to tell you how the story is going to end. And hopefully by the time that story ends, you're like, wow, I dig this story. I want to go back because I want to repeat. And that is actually what captivates cigar people. You know, when I go back to cigars, it's because I enjoy what that cigar did for me. Whether it's a little Robusto, don't everybody move that. It just moved. Oh, God, it moved. Oh, my God, it's trembling now. A little Robusto like this. Robusto is the size of the cigar. It's usually about a nice 5 by 55 inches by 50 ring gauge.
Okay.
Classic sizes are not very, very big ring gauges, although a lot of the American palate and my good American friends, they enjoy a good 60 ring gauge, 70, and yes, even an 80. But that's something that's a bit of an obsession, and I never get into that. So a good 50 is great. It has a nice compactness to it, a firmness, which is what you're looking for, but it still allows for good airflow. There is the torpedo, which, like the name says, it looks like a little bullet or like a little torpedo. So one of the neat things about that is the shape at the cone or the conical head. It'll channel more of that flavor and more of that smoke. It condenses it into that little fine point, so you get a little bit more impact on that. So from a big maybe 50, you can come all the way down to like maybe about a good, 28, 30 ring gauge. That's about the size that you want to cut it. And you're getting a lot of impact, a lot of flavor, and it's about different sizes. Lately, as a matter of fact, that where Mom is at, Flor de America Cigars, they do a fantastic Churchill, named, of course, after Winston.
Right.
And, man, I have fallen in love with that. It gives me about a good hour and a half to 2 hours of just sit in front of the computer, do some work time, or if I'm going to take a long trip, grab a couple of those bad boys, man. Get some good tunes on. And, oh, by the way, don't anybody hate me? I listen to NOLlia. Okay, I know.
It's okay.
I know.
It's okay. There's no judgment here.
I have issues. Issues.
No, it's okay.
It's okay. She does all that Celtic music. I'm down with Celtic.
This is a free thinker zone,
I'm telling
man.
you. Between my buddies who are Vikings and Celts, I'm down with it.
And you mentioned the cigar store that your mom works at. That's located here in Statesville. It's a factory.
It's a factory. Now, you guys want to hear this out. Okay, truth be told, on the license, the manufacturing license that they have has 5 zeros and a number 1. They are the first and only true cigar manufacturing facility in the great state of North Carolina, which that is awesome. There's people who say that they roll cigars. Not a problem. You can roll cigars.
Right.
You can have anybody at your shop roll cigars, but to manufacture cigars, you have to be a licensed, bonded, and registered manufacturer in any state. They, I'm proud to say, are the only one that I'm aware of because they have that number one there. 5 zeros and a number one. Great people. They buy their own tobacco. They travel all the way down to Tampa, where they have a huge distribution facility that caters to smaller manufacturers. They buy it there themselves. They select it themselves. My mom, I'm actually very proud to say, she sorts tobacco at the factory. She deveins it. She'll take the leaf, take the center vein out, classify it for what it's going to go. Some tobacco goes into the filler, some might go into the binder, and some for the wrapper. Now, the neat thing about the wrapper, it is the most prized part of the tobacco. You know,
Right.
they want the prettiest on the outside. They want the smoothest, the cleanest, the one that has the nicest sheen. So it's the one that we all look at as, hey, it's going to represent the cigar on the outside. We want it to be really primo. For example, this one is what I call very toothy. A lot of different colorations on it. You can still see a little bit of the veining. And that's why, again, some of the lower end cigars or the better price point cigars may not be the prettiest ones.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, these are not bad cigars. They're wonderful daily cigars that they actually do work for your budget.
Gotcha. And so will you offer cigars like this in your shop? So your shop would offer cigars to the beginner, intermediate, and the expert
Absolutely.
or experienced
No,
cigar
well,
smoker.
there you go. You know what? It's funny. I tell everybody. I have a small anecdote. Many years ago, when I was a wee young lad, 'cause I'm not gonna say when I was small because I've never been small. I've always been a big guy. I went to martial arts, and I remember seeing always my teacher wore a white belt. Now this man, I'm telling you, 3 ranking black belts, 4th dan, the whole shebang. But he always wore a white belt in class and everywhere he went. And he was asked by a newspaper guy one time, Master Garcia, why is it that you wear this? And he said clearly, I'm always learning. Those kids teach me how to laugh. Those kids teach me how to be a better person. Every day I'm here to learn what I didn't learn yesterday. And I said, that's kosher. So in the cigar world, I'm always learning.
Right.
I've been at this for 20 years. I love every aspect of it, but every day I'm learning. To me, there's really no right or wrong way. It is about enjoying it how you want. We're going to have cigars for the guys who can't afford a $10 stick. Well, you know what? You're gonna have a $3 one, and it's gonna be a good cigar. Hey, I'm gonna have a celebratory cigar. My baby boy was born. We're gonna have those cigars. My baby girl was born. We're gonna have those cigars. I just got married. Oh my God, ball and chain for life. No, just kidding. But we're gonna have cigars that meet whatever criteria you're looking for, and it is about always the customer. Tell me what you want. Tell me what your experience levels are. Tell me what you enjoy. Let me kind of guide you, but I
Right.
will never pressure you. I don't want to sell you a $10 cigar that is not going to be right for you. I want to sell you a good cigar. Doesn't matter what the price point, that you're going to enjoy. And at the end of the day, that is what gets you to come back to me.
I think one thing we want to do for tonight to get at least one lucky person into your store is if someone is listening to the YouTube channel, if they can like or subscribe, if they leave a comment and name the artist and name of the intro song, you have graciously agreed to give away a $10 gift card when your store opens.
I'm gonna go a step further. I'm gonna go a further one. Are you ready for this?
I think so.
Okay. 5 free cigars for that person.
Did you hear that?
It's a $20 package for that person. They
Perfect.
identify themselves. They said, "Hey, I'm the guy," or you can
Yep, I'll
call
let you
me,
know
"Hey,
for sure."
we got the person. This is the name." They come in. I'm gonna have a $20 gift pack of cigars, cutter and lighter, thrown in there complimentary as well.
Beautiful. So, first person who names the artist and the name of the song for tonight's intro, you get the gift. That's very gracious. Thank you, sir.
Oh, it's
Now,
nothing.
when is your store scheduled to open?
All right, so Doña NOlia Cigars, we're really shooting for, God willing, by August 15th. That's a soft opening. We're waiting on the final walkthrough from county, which we're very excited. It's going to happen just next week. but we have pretty much already started receiving cigars, and we're ready to rock and roll. So the moment they say, "Hey, you're good to go to open doors," shelves go up, everything happens, and that's one of the things that I loved about that spot. Really, zero build out was what we were looking for, and that's exactly what we found in it. So the turnaround time will be a lot faster than I hoped for. Grand opening possibly a few months later.
Sure.
But just a nice soft opening. August the 15th is what we're shooting for.
And what's the address?
112 North Center Street, and that's right here in the heart of downtown Statesville. And again, it's going to be Doña NOlia Cigars. That's where you can find myself, my mom, who's probably the two of us, might be there smoking a good cigar together every now and then. And, you know, anyone and everybody is welcome. We literally are family. We're all about being thankful for this beautiful, beautiful town that we live in. And the people here are awesome.
And for the people who are thinking, where is that located? It's actually in the old Sweet Things Bakery.
Sweet Things, which by the way, it still smells great in there. Lord have, that's why I gotta smoke a couple of good cigars. I like it, but it still smells a little too
Preston
sweet
worked
for
a
me.
lot of magic in there.
I'll tell you what, actually, I visited there a few times, and that's why I'm a little bit of a big boy myself. They got some good pastries.
So another question I had about smoking a cigar is, I've heard you can let the cigar go out, and then you can go back and revisit later.
Absolutely. Like, for example, this sucker just went out.
Okay.
Doggone it. So let's go ahead and revisit this thing. So, but I think that what you're looking at is, or the question is, you know, I kind of put it down. I went outside, did some yard work for a couple of hours, 3-4 hours. You know, I came back. Oh, Lord, there's my cigar. Can you go back to it? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Tap the ash as much as you can out of it. You know, grab your favorite lighter, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Reheat it a little bit.
Just reheat. For those who are listening, he's just reheating, getting some embers going. A couple puffs.
And you're good to
And
go.
you're back.
Once you get a nice little cherry in there, you're perfectly fine. Everything is good to go. I literally have started a cigar around 7 o'clock in the morning, gone down 2.5 hours driving, left it in my car during the day, came back out 8-9 hours later, saw there was about a good solid 4.5, maybe 5 inches left in that sucker, and I said, you know what, you're going down for the count. Cleaned it up a little bit. What you can experience is a little bit of harshness, a little bit of, you know, that kind of like ashiness, if you will. But that's for the first few puffs, and then you're back in clean territory. You're good to go. And remember, it is, after all, it's your money. It's how you spend it and how you want to enjoy it. If you bought a cigar that's, you know, it's a good $15 cigar, okay, maybe something happened. You know, you left it alone and you ran out the house, but when you came back, if you still got some cigar left, man, you better kill that cigar. Because I do not leave money on the table, and a good cigar is always money on the table for me.
So speaking of money on the table, the band, is that where you're supposed to smoke the cigar to? Or when you get to the band, that means you take it off and keep going?
Well, let's go ahead and see what you're talking about there, young one. Everybody who's got less white hairs than me is young to me. So, all right, so I don't have a cigar band now.
You do not?
I'll tell you what, if this cigar is half as good as I know it is, which I do know it is, I've been known to take a penny nail, put it right through as close as I can to the actual tip, and smoke it until the ash falls off. There are some cigars, I'm not even joking, that are so good that there are tools that have been made, little handles with a very sharp pin almost. You drive it right into there, and you keep on going until it becomes enjoyable ash at the end. I've done it. I've also left a cigar, and I'm going to say it like this. If you're not enjoying it, you say, wow, this cigar is just not doing it for me. It's just really, wow, that was the worst $10 of my life. Well, you know what? It's okay. Put it down and walk away. Leave it alone. It's all right. We make mistakes every day, man. And it's okay to make a mistake. It's part of the learning processes. Even #1 cigars that have come out all over the world, #1 cigars, they may not be the one that you enjoy, no matter what the ratings or the classifications are. You know, at the end of the day, it is about you. So where do you stop smoking a cigar? The moment you say, you know, I'm good.
I'm good.
If you went down half on that cigar and said, you know, Duncan, I enjoyed it, but I think I'm good with this cigar, done deal, perfectly fine. No feelings are ever hurt. If you say, "Man, this is cigars," you're right. This is nice. I enjoyed this, and you keep going and you keep going, and you say, "You know what? At the to the end, man, it was what a great cigar." That's your experience, and that's what's important. That you enjoy it, not me, not mom, not the big man back there. Not and you. You gotta enjoy it.
I think smoking this cigar, one of the things that went through my mind while we're sitting here is what you told me on the phone is that you may be smoking a cigar that 200 to 300 hands have touched.
Correct. It's
That's,
very, it's very interesting, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
I
off.
mean,
But
that's crazy.
it speaks to people that I love in this industry.
Oh, never mind. This man comes prepared.
Built in, man. This thing is it's a warrior's travel case. Um, I love this industry because from the seeds to smokes side of things, so many wonderful people have had something to do with it. From the farmer, um, the guys who are working the fields, the people who are cutting the primings, in the fermentation houses, in the aging rooms, just every part of it, quality control, the blend masters, the bunchers, the rollers. I mean, just the people in packaging, in shipping, distribute everything. When you start thinking about all the people that have had to do something for you to smoke that cigar, the many industries that are supported with that. The cigar that you're smoking, done by Dr. Gaby Kafie, one of the things that I love about him, he is very proud of his Honduran heritage. He's an American doctor, surgeon, wonderful individual, one of the best mentors, friends, brothers I could ever have. Everything he did in his country of origin for his family was about helping the people in his country. The farmlands, all Honduran people. The factory built by Hondurans for the Honduran employees. Every part of everything he does, the ring, he found an old shop in which he came across the actual ring machines that make these beautiful embossed rings. He bought it all so they could do it the old school way back from the 1920s and 30s. The cellophane that the cigar comes in, all made by them. He gave back to his people down there. When we look at sometimes a lot of these countries, we forget these are kind of poor countries. These are people who are very grateful when they get industries to step in and assist them. I'm happy to say that that's what one of these things that this industry is all about. Currently, without getting in too deep into the social political structure of these countries, but Nicaragua is in turmoil. Nicaragua right now is going through a lot. Politics are crazy. We all know politics can be a little bit, up there. Two subjects I tell everybody at a cigar shop: no politics, no religion. We're all friends and brothers. But down there, I know great companies who literally will send buses to pick up their employees, bring them in so that they're safe, they're taken care of. They pay employees on cards so that their monies are 100% protected, insured, taken care of. Companies who build hospitals, make sure that children go to schools. I'm an advocate of one of the biggest names in this industry. Is called Arturo Fuente and Cigar Company. It's J.C. Newman and Arturo Fuente love the people because they care about where they're at. In the DR, this company has built hospitals, has made sure that the children of their employees, on every Friday, when they leave those schools, they get a voucher for 3 meals for each day, Saturday and Sunday, so they can have food when they go home.
That's fantastic.
If they have children in the house that are not in school, they get additional vouchers so that those children can get food, so that the parents who are working don't need to worry about that. They don't need to stress. This company is so neat. Children have been sent to colleges, to universities, and they keep coming back saying, "No, we want to work and continue building this." That's legacy. That's history. And like them, there's people like the Kafies, there's people like the Padrones, the Garcias in Nicaragua. I mean, there's so many wonderful families that a lot of times we associate. It's tobacco. Ooh, bad tobacco. Well, it's cigars,
Hmm.
cigars, not cigarettes. That's a whole different ball of wax. And cigars are people of the soil, artisans, craftsmen, and women. Um, for example, this is done in Nicaragua. It's a beautiful little travel case. It's nice. It serves the purpose. You can have three cigars in there. It's cedar. It maintains it fresh. It gives it a nice little woodiness. Also, when in doubt of a ashtray, well, a little case converts into an ashtray. Nothing wrong with that. That's all handmade. That little artisanal touch is somebody's job. That's food on the table for their kids. And that to me is what it's all about. It's awesomeness.
That's one of the most intriguing things to me of what goes in, like for instance, the cafes and the hospitals and the feeding of the children in their country. I think when people don't understand all the impact that it has
Hmm.
and everything that goes into just making a cigar, so you and I can sit here and chat, and hopefully people, if they do listen, if they choose to tune in, they're going to learn a little bit of something about this, right? You
Absolutely.
have two guys sitting here from two totally different backgrounds, and I'm getting a full blown, and the listeners at home are getting a full blown education. They may never smoke a cigar in their life, but after this episode,
They
they
might
at
say,
least
"Hey,
learn
wow, that's
something.
interesting."
That's interesting. I want to go back and I want to talk to Duncan. I want to learn a little bit more about this.
And it's funny that you use the terminology. Just two guys having a cigar. Um, my best friend, literally my brother, his name is Kerry Horney, and he is one of the greatest humanitarians I've ever met. He's someone that I get very emotional about because he is what a real American hero is all about. His stepson overcame leukemia. Wonderful child. Joe is the LLS spokes child in South Carolina. His fiance, an amazing woman. Just he's one of the greatest guys I've ever met. He is to me what a hero is all about. He stepped up and said, "Whatever's needed as a father figure, I'm here. I'm gonna do it." He's my best friend. He's my brother, and our friendship, of all things, began. Hey, two guys smoking a couple of sticks, in a garage or in the local cigar joint. He would travel. He is in medical clinical trials. Really cool guy. But his thing was, when I'm done, I'm gonna go chill and have a good smoke somewhere and relax. So he's been to almost 300 cigar establishments. Um, he's done reviews. He's done events, and our friendship was created, harnessed, bonded, and made all the stronger over a good cigar, man. He would come back, hey man, I was in Jersey. I got you these cigars. They don't even make them down here. You try them. And I go, oh dude, I just got these new cigars in here. Why don't you try them? And we exchanged. Um, he's a guy that to me is an example of what a man is. A good, honest man, a good friend is all about. When I told him I'm pulling the trigger, I'm gonna open up my own shop, he said I would give anything to be there and be a part of that. And I said, well, listen, dude, our story is as follows. You're with me always in spirit. You're an inspiration. Your family's my family. My family is yours. And when Doña NOlia opens, this is our shop. No matter what, you're my brother. Wherever I'm at, you are the man. He does his own show. It's funny, running right now as we're doing this one. And he kind of like you, he talks about a lot of great stuff. It's a little bit more about cigars, but
Hmm.
he educates. He talks about FDA. He talks about a lot of stuff that's going on in our industry. People who are fighting the good fight, small brand companies, boutique companies, who are starting with very little money,
Right.
very little, and they're saying, you know what, we're going to do it. We're going to go and we're going to support families. If we can do it here in the States, we're going to do it in the States. I know a lot of guys who open up doors here, but manufacturing in the United States is a little bit expensive. We
Sure.
get that. We understand that. Particularly when it comes to a good cigar, it's a little bit more regulated. For example, this cigar, $3.50. If we were making it here, you're looking then at a cigar that could be around $8 to $9.
Wow.
That's not fair.
No, I mean you're talking almost 2 3/4 time the price.
Because, for example, if this cigar was being done here, and I enjoy it at $3.50, it is a wonderful cigar. I'll tell everybody, when I smoke the cigar, this thing smokes like it should be a $6 or $7 stick. But I'd rather get that at $3.50 and say it smokes like, than say, man, I'm smoking a $9 cigar and this thing is like a $3 stick. That devalues. That puts me in a different mindset. I may not want to go back and smoke the cigar. You know, there's also the artistry. You know, beautiful boxes, beautiful rings. When I get a cigar, and I'm a little bit biased, the prettier the cigar is, I'm like, I don't know, what are you trying to sell me here?
Right.
I've seen some $15 cigars that are stunning, fellas and ladies. Gorgeous art. I mean, the rings are just stunning. The boxes are ornate. The cigar is what we call a dog rocket. I mean,
the cigars I have smoked in my life, I think I was still chewing on that dog rocket the next morning.
I tell you what, my man, I call it like I see it. My good friend Bob, the cigar guy, the Force Recon guy, he's got a palate, nails everything to a T. But he makes it funny. I always told him, you are the Larry the Cable Guy of the cigar world. I'm telling you, he is the loveliest human being. One time on a joke, we said, you know, Bob, I think you got more degrees than a thermometer. He's one of these super intellectual guys.
I'm still on that one.
You never know it because he's just down home. He is Southern. He is a wonderful individual. But when he tells you about the cigars, man, he nails it. But he'll also tell you flat out, it's not
a dog rocket.
It's not a good one. It's not a good one.
So speaking of the states and boutique shops and whatnot, what is going to set out Doña NOlia, right? What is going to set Doña NOlia apart from different cigar shops? Good
question. So we had to do a little bit of market research, if you will, in the area. Who's around us? What are they doing? You know, what's gonna, as you said, set us apart? I'm proud to say that we're going to focus predominantly on the boutique industry. So what does that mean? For example, we will carry full portfolios of the Felix Mesa line, which is the El Galán. So it's not going to be maybe 3 or 4, you know, cigar boxes. It is an entire showcase of each boutique brand that we bring in. Very seldomly is that ever done in cigar shops. A lot of them for budgetary reasons, or people don't want to experiment too much on these boutique brands, as we call them, because, hey, man, I don't know if that they're going to be good. You know, everybody's heard of Monte Cristos, Romeo Julietas, you know, Partagas, all these famous brands, but not many people have heard of El Galán cigars. So a lot of shops don't want to invest for fear of losing customers in that. Well, building relationships is what this industry is all about to me. So I've built a solid enough, backing from a lot of these brands that when I told them my idea, they said, you know what, we're committed to you. You have the entirety of our portfolios at your disposal. Do with it as you will. We're friends. We work it out as we can. That's a gentleman's agreement. I love that. I mean, very few papers were signed. I can tell you that much. A lot of looking in the eye and shaking of hands and knowing that, hey, this is a gentleman's business. That happened. So Doña NOlia is going to be a cigar shop for the boutiquers, for guys who do enjoy the support of smaller brands. For example, you know, the bourbon industry has tons of great boutique brands, but, you know, people usually stick to 3 or 4 that they know. Well, imagine going into a nice bar that has a plethora of bourbons, you know, because they want to support those companies, or craft beer. You want to definitely support those industries. Not everybody's going to have, you know, maybe 20 or 100, who knows? Well, for us, Doña NOlia Cigars is about the boutique industry. We want to help families. We want to support families. We want to definitely showcase what they're capable of doing in the artistry, in the cigars, in everything that they represent. Yes, we're going to carry some standard lines, or what we call legacy brands that have been around for 50, 60, 100 years. But the mainline goal is to definitely support these families. You know, the great majority of the boutique industries produce less than 1 million cigars a year. Now, that still seems like a lot.
Not really.
And I'll tell you, you're going to love these numbers. Compared to some of the legacy brands that produce 20, 50, 100 million cigars a year. These guys are small. These
Yeah.
guys are small. And it's about definitely making sure that they are well supported. Um, that's what is really going to be us. We want to be a destination location. We want a place where, hey, you know what? I've heard about that cigar. I didn't see it anywhere else, but wow, you got it. And that's why I love Statesville. If you guys see it on the map, we're the crosshairs, man.
Right.
I-40, I-77 right there. Great history with brewing companies. Great history with JR having been here. It's about making Statesville a destination. We really want people to come here and say, hey, man, you know what? This Statesville place, it's booming. It's nice. It's hip. It's happening. This is where I want to come and spend a little bit of my money.
With the revamping of the downtown area, I think you're exactly right, because now there's restaurants, there's better food options. You have a cigar shop, you have a cigar factory. There's two breweries that are going to be opening up here very soon. So I think Statesville is going to have a lot more to offer, not only to the citizens, but maybe people who live in Mooresville or Huntersville or Hickory. Maybe that will draw a bigger crowd to come in.
And you're absolutely correct. Being where we're located right now on the map, I think it's a wonderful, wonderful spot. I don't think it could have happened better if anybody just said, hey, we're going to plan it this way. I know, for example, we have JR's, which is in Mooresville. It's about 18, 20 minutes straight down and off of exit 36. It's a great spot. I love hanging out there. To me, it's a no-brainer sometimes. But again, JR is a big boy store. They got all the big name brands and all the big hoopla. I want to focus on, hey, let's take care of the little people. You know what? Why is it that I cannot find Kafie in JR? Why can I not find 50 Caliber, which is an amazing smoke done by a good friend, Dave Cribben? Just fantastic. I mean, to me, 50 Cal is a no-brainer. Supports men and women in the armed forces. We have a great organization called Cigars for Warriors by Storm Bowen. Superb individual. My great friend of mine, 3 tours, Special Operations, 82nd Airborne, Stefan Herman. Just a part of that. He is all about supporting men and women serving overseas. He collects probably hundreds and hundreds of cigars every couple of months to ship overseas. Vernon Walters, also ex-Special Ops guy. I mean, just men and women who today, even after they've retired, even after they've done what they've done, they continue to still do something for men and women serving overseas. And a lot of the guys over there, you know what? It's okay to smoke a Romeo Julieta, but man, I really would love to smoke something that's really good quality, really artisanal, and that's what we want to do. We're also going to be a dead drop for Cigars for Warriors. So when people are looking for where can I ship some cigars overseas to the men and women serving, hey, Doña NOlia Cigars, look at that. They're a drop-off spot. That's fantastic. So there's things that are going to be happening at the shop that don't happen in a lot of other areas. I'm proud to say that we support men and women also who served here, men in blue, in police departments, firefighters, EMS. We were talking actually earlier, EMS people are highly underpaid, poor folks. But there's an organization called Smoking Shields. There's a chapter in North Carolina. We definitely want to support them and say, hey, guys, you do a lot. Come over here. We're going to do a sponsored event for you guys and support that. We did one in Maryland, and we had a 200 plus turnout. These are wonderful organizations that, in my opinion, really do support and enjoy good quality crafted cigars.
I think just by sitting here listening to you, my mind's opening up to how many people actually smoke cigars, but nobody knows. They do it on their back patio, on their deck, maybe in the yard. And for the people who are listening at home, there may be people, if I understand correctly, who we talked about the wrapper, right? Maybe they are a fan of the Connecticut wrapper, right? The Connecticut tobacco
absolutely.
wrapper. Will you be offering any cigars that are in a Connecticut wrapper?
Absolutely. The neat thing is that Connecticut actually is a type of tobacco, and the terminology comes from the best prized Connecticut wrapper is grown here in the States, obviously from the Connecticut River Valley, where some of the finest tobacco is grown. beautiful. It's just creamy looking. It's golden. It's fantastic. You
Sorry to interrupt, but doesn't that have to do with like the ice age and the terminal moraine of where at the ice age it was like this place where it met or started to melt or something, and because of the nutrients in the soil that produces that type of
Exactly. So you're pretty much spot on. You went a little bit further back than I'm comfy with. I go back maybe 50, 60 years, and I'm there. But wow, I may have to talk to you about that one.
That's all I got. That was it.
It is about soil. It is about soil, and you're pretty much spot on. Some areas in the world produce certain pristine soils. So in my opinion, my humble opinion, the best Connecticut shade wrapper is grown in the United States. Second, in Ecuador, because of the conditions in the mountainous regions, where for about 300 some odd days of the year it is in perpetual cloud cover. So whereas here in the States, they use cloth or covers to create shade. That's Connecticut shade.
And that's what they get for the shade leaf.
Correct.
Right.
So we're going to have a little bit of everything. So
okay.
the terminology Connecticut is about a type of wrapper. So there's also Habano, which is another type of wrapper. Habano is just Maduro is just the aging side of things. There is Corojo. That's another one. Piloto, that's another type of wrapper, and tobacco. There's a plethora of different cigar blends that incorporate all kinds of different good tobacco grown all over the place. I mean, you have Sumatra, which is from Equatorial Sumatra. There's Indonesian, all kinds of neat stuff, all kinds of really. So we're going to have a little bit of everything. Kafie does a fantastic Sumatra wrapper that is sublime.
Like the coffee? What did they just name Sumatra?
Well, it's actually same country of origin, where the seed stock comes from, but it is grown in Ecuador. Because here's the other thing, you got to look at cost. True Sumatra or Cameroon, again, wrapper that is grown in countries of origin to ship, to use, kind of pumps up the price a little bit more on the actual tobacco itself. So you look for similar conditions in other countries that are a little bit closer to where you would manufacture it. So for Honduras and Nicaragua, a lot of them buy from Ecuador, the Ecuadorian versions of these exotic imports, if you will. Now, that being said, the way you cut costs is if you're one of the big guys, then, you can afford to buy in larger bulks, so your costs come down. But it doesn't take away. I always tell everybody, I smoke some great Ecuadorian Connecticut shade that is sublime. I mean, really, really, really good stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. The same thing with Sumatra and whatnot. But tobacco is a global thing. It truly is a wonderful thing. It's a unifying thing, in my opinion. And cigars are all about that. Just sitting down, conversations, getting to know. Maybe grabbing a cup of coffee, if that's all you want to do. It's not about pairing it with, a hard liquor.
Right.
Every now and then I'll grab me an A&W root beer, and that's just fine. I love that sweetness with my cigar at the time, or early in the morning I make a nice pot of Cuban espresso, and the strong bitterness of that pure espresso pairs beautifully as well. A nice bottle of wine after a good steak dinner. You say, I'm going to enjoy a nice glass of wine with a good cigar. It is about how you want to enjoy it. And in the best way you do it, that's how it is.
Well, if we could, I'd like to ask your mother, like...
Anything.
What is her favorite? What's her go-to cigar that she likes to smoke?
¿Cuál es el tabaco que más o menos te gusta a ti fumar o que tú has fumado que más o menos fumas regularmente? She enjoys the Maduros that are done at Flor de America Cigars. So she likes the richer, more fuller-bodied cigars. No trajiste agua. No, she normally carries in her bag of wonders a little bottle of water. But she enjoys them. ¿Te gusta el Maduro y el Habano? And also the Habano, which is a nice, a little bit fuller-bodied in flavor. Yeah, the Habano is always going to be a little bit stronger than the Maduro, even though the Maduro looks darker.
Right.
Again, the Maduro will have a little bit more sweetness, a little bit more richer natural oils that develop and give you more like that coffee notes, leather notes, cocoa, if you will. The Habano has a little bit more pepper, a little bit more spice, a little bit more wood to it, a little bit more earthiness as well.
So even though the wrapper, even though it may be a darker cigar, don't be fooled because it may be a little sweeter, like you said, or a little coffee undertone. It may not be that bold, strong.
Oh yeah,
knock your socks off.
I'll tell you what. I've smoked cigars that are, I mean, literally almost dark, like black, and just wonderful, smooth and velvety, silkiness on your palate. It is the flavor. It is the intensity of flavor. The strength is actually regulated by the lack of fermentation, which allows for more nicotine in the cigar, or part of the blend also of what you add. For example, a tobacco plant will have a lot of different leaves. So I'm going to just give you a quick breakdown. Broad leaves are at the bottom, the biggest, broadest leaves. Then you have your biso and your secos, which are usually your middle leaves. A lot of them can go towards fillers, binders, and whatnot. And then you have also your top of the actual tobacco plant, the very top leaves, which are very young, very tender, very thick, very beautifully green. Those are called ligero leaves. And then for those of us who know, ligero, every time we see it anywhere, means very strong, very intense in nicotine, very strong in the actual impact of that. Wow, I'm getting a little bit of the sweats. I'm getting a little bit of that. I need to maybe have some water or something. I may need a hug. I tell you what.
I was going to ask you for a hug about 20 minutes ago.
I've had that experience a couple of times, and that's when I have to immediately say, "What the heck is in this cigar?" But there's a better breakdown of the actual plant, but what we look at that top leaf as is that since it's so young and fresh and thick, it has a lot more natural oils. So it takes a little bit longer for that to age to the point that it can be used, so that it can then say, okay, now we can put that as part of the filler and the binder so we can amp it up. There's a company out of the DR, it's called La Flor Dominicana, LFD. We know it, we love it, because they are famous for very stout, very strong cigars. They do a double ligero, so it's twice the amount of strength. So you get some guys who they want that kick. They want to know that they smoked one of these intense cigars. Personally, I'm of the mind that said you smoke for pleasure, not for strength.
Right.
You want to enjoy it,
Could you quickly tell us the difference between the cigar? You and I talked about this the other day, about the cigar tobacco and how it's different from, say, the cigarette.
Different type of plants in size, in texture, in leaves.
But also the chemicals that go in a cigarette,
because
right?
when you harvest and utilize tobacco that's going to go for cigarettes, it involves a completely different processes. I mean, there are chemicals that are involved in that. The ammonia is left in. Additives are brought to play. Without going into a huge back and forth, with any big tobacco company.
Sure.
But it's their way to assure you that you're going to want to Jones a cigarette every 10, 15 minutes. You want to smoke a cigarette. Right. Oh God, I've seen guys like literally, one to the other, light them up.
Essentially every member of my family lights cigarettes off of one another, and you know who I'm talking about.
But a cigar, my mom is 76 years old. She smokes an average of 6-8 cigars, maybe sometimes up to 10 in a day. But I smoke an average of the same, maybe less sometimes. But it's not a necessity. It's not like, oh my God, I got to run out and buy me a pack of cigars or a box of cigars. If we smoke 10 in a day, great. If we smoke 1 in a day, big deal.
So you don't see the people running around going, oh Lord, my nerves are shot, I need a cigar.
No, Lord. I mean, that may happen, but I'll probably see me with also a good scotch and a cigar. I'll probably run and get a bottle a lot quicker than I might get a cigar. I mean, depending upon stress levels. But cigars is enjoyment. It's the chill factor, as the young people say and stuff. You want to relax. You want to you don't want to work. You know,
Right,
when,
right.
when I light a
It's a
cigar,
celebratory thing,
yeah,
right?
when I light a cigar, and I talk a lot. So usually when I do my show, my cigar goes out on me 38,000 times because
Right.
I forget about it. But once I sit down and I'm on my computer, I get a good book. Um, I want to dedicate that time to it. You know, if a cigar goes out more than 3, 4 times, I'm like, construction. I immediately start breaking down the cigar. I may not go back to it at least for a while. I may say this was probably just one of those odd ones in the box that didn't get done correctly. Um, when a cigar's flavor is not right, I do give it 2 to 3 times before I say I'm not going to go back to that. But it's not the compulsion
Right.
that I see with people who smoke cigarettes, and there's no chemicals. We actually, through our fermentation processes, strive to eliminate the ammonia out of the cigar. That's where sometimes you get a bad cigar might have a little too much of that bitterness, a little too much of that, man, what is that nastiness? So that means that they did not follow through with the fermentation process correctly.
It's interesting people's passion with stuff, especially with cigars, wine, scotches. I have a guy who's wanting to come on the show. He's actually in Florida, so we may have to figure out how to do a Skype call or something with him. I don't know how that's going to work, but you know, he roasts coffee, and there's a whole the
I'm
science,
addicted to coffee, man.
the science behind your your coffee, your wine, your liquors, your bourbons, your scotches, and it's interesting to me. Like, it's not just what it looks like. There's so much that goes into whatever it is that folks are passionate about in these hobbies, or so to speak.
I agree.
Last thing I want to get to is what was the inspiration behind the name of your I think you touched on it in the very beginning, but I would love for you to we'll wrap the show up in the name of your store.
I'm proud to say that Doña NOlia means a lot to me because it's an homage to family. My mother's name is NOLida, NOLHIDA. But for short, we all call her Noli. But there was so much more to that. The first letter of her name is N, so there's that. My father's name was Osmin, so that's the second letter. My dad was and is still in my heart the greatest man I've ever known, a man of the soil, a man who knew the principles of what it was to invest in the soil and take care of it, and it would produce fruit. The L and the I of Noli goes back to where we come from. On my dad's side, we're from a very poor area in Cuba, and the farm that he grew up in was called La Irene, or the Irene, basically. So NOLI has a lot of meaning. To me, it is my mother, my father, my roots, who I am, what we've come through, what we're doing today. We came in 1980 in the Mariel boat lift, famous because of the movie Scarface, where you see at the opening scenes all the boats and whatnot. Well, that was one of us in one of them boats. But it was about a mother and a father bringing their child to a land where you can do it. A year into my dad being here, he said, I didn't come here to work for anybody. I came here to build a dream. This is the country of dreams where you make them. Seeing my mother working 3, 4 jobs, my father the same way, we did it. We've always done it. When you fall down, you get back up. There's no alternatives. Doña NOlia is about you fall down, but you get right back up and you build it bigger, better, grander, and you support everybody who supported you. This store is about my family, my loved ones, my friends. My team, to me, begins with God, first and foremost, seconded by my mother, my partner, who I love dearly, and he's the best guy I could ever ask for, my best friend in the whole world, Kerr. The people that have come together to do this is a team that I couldn't ask for. It's a team that I don't even think I deserve sometimes. So when I think of Doña NOlia, it is all of that. It is my family. It is my love of this country. You know, that's what it's all about. That's what Doña NOlia is all about.
Oh, I couldn't have said it better.
Appreciate that.
What a way to end our show here. For people who are listening and not watching, if you just tuned in late, Doña NOlia will be opening hopefully August the 15th.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
We're shooting for
in
that.
downtown Statesville. I wish you the best. I hope everyone listening, please stop by your store, have a cigar, learn. This man,
I smoked a cigar once or twice.
right, he knows what he's talking about. His mom's a sweet lady. Angel sitting over here next to us.
Yeah, she's behaved today. Está portado bien.
So please, I wish you all the best of luck. And for all you guys listening, please download the States Vegas radio app. Listen to Appetite for Discussion. Subscribe. And if you didn't hear this earlier, if you name tonight's intro song and the artist, you're going to receive a $20 gift pack of cigars.
Cutter lighter, everything.
Cutter lighter, everything. And I will let Duncan know who the winner is. It has been an absolute pleasure. It was an honor having.
No,
Thank you so much.
Honestly.
Thank you. That's it, guys.
All right.
Appreciate it.